Cool. So, hi everyone. Hi, my name is Chitrak. I work for Booking.com as a product manager. I have been living in Amsterdam since early 2018. And yeah, before that, I used to live in Bangalore, work for Flipkart. So I think personal finance has been something that, I'm been personally been very passionate about, how to structure things, how to come up with a system and ways of, how do you set something up that everything is on autopilot, and it's something that just works for you, makes money for you on the side while your focus is on actually doing the real work. So I personally very strongly believe that, except for that, I guess I can speak for most of us here, that finance is not our core competency. We are not traders, we are not financial analysts. So uh, that is not something we should be doing. And like most of us are, designers, developers working in the tech industry. So that's where all our energy and focus should be. So personal finance, I feel, is something that, it should be on autopilot. It should not cause you any stress. And it's something that just happens on its own with minimum involvement and minimum time required from your end, and most importantly minimum headspace and minimum stress. So I believe, I've been doing this for 7 8 years, and i I think by now I feel that I have a system where I can just put things on autopilot. Everything, all my SIPs, money gets deducted. I can track it. I have a dashboard, etc. So I was chatting with Abhishek, and he said that, hey, it's something that might be useful for the overall community. So yeah, I think that's when I thought, I can share it with you guys. That being said, it's a system that works for me. It's something that's like based on the kind of person I am. It's something that works for me. So, take it with a pinch of salt and see, what works for you and how it goes. Okay, so kickstarting the session, I first wanted to, say it out loud as to, who is this targeted to. So it's basically some primarily targeted to people, who are still very early in their personal finance journey, and they are very sporadic. Like, like they have a lot of cash, and then one day, suddenly ऐसे भूत जागता है कि इन्वेस्टमेंट करना है, कोई अंकल बता देते हैं कि म्यूचुअल फंड में डाल दो तो तुम SIP, you start your SIP, then you stop, फिर बिटकॉइन बढ़ता है तो बिटकॉइन खरीद लेते हो. So it's basically, targeted mostly towards people who don't have a system towards personal finance, and are they get stuck in analysis paralysis. There are some FD करें, म्यूचुअल फंड लें, बिटकॉइन लें, स्टॉक लें, टैक्स किस में ज्यादा है, bonds खरीदें, all of that. So it's basically, my goal here is to cut the confusion, get you started, set up a system where at least you get started on your journey with ensuring that you don't fuck up, and then slowly you will figure it out on your own. So I think that's the objective of this session. And in the end, I will then also share, of course, the dashboard I have as to how I track my investments, how using Google Finance and some APIs. But yeah, that's kind of it. So if you are someone who knows how to do asset allocation, how to manage risk, has been investing for a while, and is looking for okay, what is that extra edge or how to improve my portfolio, then this is not for you. This is targeted towards people who are just getting started. So yeah, also in the meantime, so it's a very complex topic, and I would be touching a lot of it on the surface. If there's something that you want me to go deeper into, or don't understand or have questions, feel free to post your questions in the comment box, and then yeah, we can then take it up. Okay, cool. So let's start it. So we finished this. So let me, first take you as to what my journey has been with personal finance, and then, how did I come up with this system, and why did I feel the need for a system like this? So I've been investing since I think 2014. That's when I started working, and that's when I was like, okay, thoda FD, thoda mutual fund, thoda stocks. So, but I think 2015 is when I got really into investment. I used to invest everything I have, all the money I used to make in my salary, and what I used to do was I used to put everything in small cap funds, because my hypothesis was that if a company is small, it will grow, and it will grow, so it will make me the most money. And the thought process was that I'm young, like even if the market goes down today, sometime it will, in the long term, it will make money, and it will make me the most money. And I just looked at past 5 10 years of returns of small cap funds, and I thought that, okay, small cap funds is the way to go. So I invested all my money, everything I used to make. I identified some 4 5 small funds. small cap funds, and I used to invest in that. So I'll tell you what happened. So so this is, let's say this is HDFC mid cap opportunities fund. So it's a mid cap fund, not even a small cap fund. So this was even a safer fund compared to what I did. And okay, so if you, let's say, look at this, so I started investing in, say, sometime around 2016. So say first of 2016. So then so if you look at the time period from 2016 to 2019, okay, and let's take an SIP actually, because that's what I was doing. So if you look at July 1st, 2016 to say 2019, see, so after investing for almost close to 3 years, my returns were negative. So I was like, okay, let's get started on small caps fund to go. And they were giving like say 10, 15, 20% returns before that. So after investing every month for 3 years, my returns were negative. It's very disheartening when every month you're putting in money and you're not even making like savings bank returns. You're in loss after 3 years. So that was very disappointing for me. So I had invested a large sum of money in small cap funds. I kept doing it for 3, 4 years. And then, I was like, okay, for this shit, it's not happening. So I got disappointed. I then got a job in Amsterdam. I moved to Amsterdam. Life happened. So I stopped investing. So I think the first realization was that, okay, this is actually risky. You can't just invest and forget. It's like it will go through ups and downs. So that was my first realization. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to stop investing. I'm going to do my research. I'm going to find the right mutual fund. I'm going to read Economic Times, be on top of things, and then I'm going to start investment. And while doing all of this, basically, I got into so much analysis paralysis, ki ye karu, wo karu, ghar kharidu, real estate loan, etc., that I was like, okay, I just stopped investing. So then what happened was that basically all my salary used to go to my savings account, and I accumulated a lot of cash. So I had a lot of money, which was in the small cap funds, and then I had a lot of cash. So then basically, so this is what happened. So it's from like I think 2018 to 1920. This is what happened that I stopped investing. I had this investments that I'd made in those small cap funds, and then I had a lot of cash sitting on my hand. And still trying to decide, what should I do? Should I buy Amazon because Amazon stock was doing so good at that time? Facebook kharid lo kya, Tesla kharid lo kya? So I just keep having these discussions with friends, but would not do anything about it. Then basically I had a light bulb moment. One day I was sitting and then I thought that, okay, even if I have 5 lakh cash and even if I invest it in a simple instrument which gives me 5% return, that's an Apple Watch. So instead of thinking it as a 5% return, I said that 25,000, 30,000 rupees is actually a lot of money. Like if I tell you that, hey, you don't have to do anything, just it will take 1 hour of your effort. It's guaranteed that you're going to get an Apple Watch at the end of the year. I think you will take it. So that's when I realized that you have to stop thinking कि अच्छा inflation क्या है, Bitcoin का return क्या है, average rate क्या है, etc. Just do it. Invest in something that you're comfortable with. Invest in something that's safe enough based on your standard, and that's actually real money. So, so I think that's kind of that's my realization when I was like, okay, instead of trying to beat the market, trying to beat inflation, ज़्यादा इतनी ज्ञानबाजी को छोड़ के, let me just get started, and then I'll see what to do with it. So I think so. Yeah. So I think that would be my advice. That's like you have to start safe. If you are someone who has not invested, start safe. Don't go after Bitcoin. Don't go after P2P loans. Don't chase penny stocks. Don't do individual stock investing. Start safe. Start slow. Slowly increase your risk, and then figure out, as a person, whoever you are, what works for you. I think another golden rule is that investment is not about getting the maximum return possible. If you don't invest to make as much money as possible, if you have this mindset that, if I have 1,000 rupees, I want to make it 2,000, that's not how investment works. Investment is to make money work for you while you are sleeping peacefully. So it should be something. So the sleeping peacefully is very key. It is something that like you need to be comfortable with what you have. You should make some money out of it, and then and finding that balance, that is the key to investment, instead of just trying to find Bitcoin or the next Amazon. I think this is something I really want to drive deep into everyone's mind, that don't chase something that will make the most money, because you will lose your sleep over it. Chase something that works for you. So yeah, I think that's kind of where I was. So then basically what I did was that, I came up with a way of thinking, a framework, which then allowed me to invest every single rupee I had. I don't right now have a single, like, apart from the money I need for groceries and stuff, I don't keep any cash, or everything I have is invested somewhere, and it's making some money for me in some form across the spectrum, from the safest FDs to actually individual stocks and risky assets. So yeah, I think that's the framework I'll share with you. Yeah, any questions so far?
No, I think we are good.
No, I don't see the.
I think Umang just posted something, but I'll keep a track of questions and maybe we
Okay.
can,
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Keep
So
going,
yeah,
man. Keep
yeah,
going.
moving forward. Then basically, my advice is that, get started, do something, start small, start with something, and then, eventually you will figure it out. So yeah, so I think the first thing is, cash is evil. Don't keep cash, invest it somewhere, get your power of compounding to kick in, start making some money, and then, slowly work your way up. Second thing is, investment is very personal. So what works for me will not work for you. Like, I know folks who have 60-70% of their money in Bitcoin, made a lot of money. That's not me. I cannot handle that volatility. Similarly, like, if I go to my dad, he can't even handle 50% of his money in share market, because he can't handle that volatility. So it's a very personal thing. Get started, maintain your risks, make mistakes, and you will figure out what works for you. So, just don't get lost in analysis paralysis. Get started, do something, and then I think eventually you will figure out where you need to go. Uh, so yeah, I think that's about it. So yeah, I think now then I'll shift into the next part of the session, where basically we talk about how do you get started. What are the things that you need to do if you are an absolute beginner, to basically build a personal build a portfolio for yourself. So yeah, before we get into the things to do, I'll basically tell you how I'm thinking about it. So this is basically my way of helping you set up a baseline. And if you follow these steps, you will have a system which will ensure that you don't get, it's like, basically, it's things will not go to shit. So if you follow this, nothing will happen that will make you feel sleepless at night, and will also get you started. So, like, some of the guiding principles. So this is not perfect. I am, of course, not certified financial professional or something. So this is basically my take. This will also not give you the best returns. So it's not like, oh, 1 year you will make 40%, 50% returns. So this is basically to help you set up a baseline, set up a system that works. But this, we are not chasing returns here. We are just coming up with a system so that you can stick with it for longer. Consistency is the most important thing while investment. Uh, so learn as you go, find what works for you. I'm also limiting some information. So the information that I will share on while sharing this framework is very limited. Some of it might be very oversimplified, and you might think, like, a lot, some parts you might feel that, hey, this is not actually 100% correct. It's on purpose, because I just want to keep it simple. Don't use much jargon, so that people who are very new to this personal finance, they don't feel intimidated. So it's very anything that is very complex, even though it might be a better choice, I'm omitting, so that people who are new can get started. They don't get confused, they don't get scared, and once they start doing it, they themselves will figure it out as to what like the other options that are available in the market. I will also recommend some, say, mutual funds, or some ways to invest. Like, if, for example, which mutual fund to invest in. I will share the ones that I invest in, again, purely so that you absolute beginners can get started, and then just start with that, and then with time, they can figure it out for themselves. Again, I'm not a financial professional, so whatever I say, take it with a pinch of salt. These are the funds that I invest in. You can choose to invest in them, or you can find your own. Okay, so yeah, so now let's move to the framework. So I think the step one of any personal finance portfolio is mitigate risk. So anything that will basically bring you on the footpath, remove it. Any non-reversible change should be mitigated. So if you have a house, get an insurance on that house. If you have term insurance, health insurance, property insurance, any if you're running a business, get maybe a lawyer, legal insurance. Anything that can basically get you on the footpath. Step one is get rid of that. Okay, mitigate that. So yeah, I will not go deep into that because yeah, I think it's not the scope of this discussion as to insurance, etc. So after you have done that, once you have your insurance, etc., set up, second thing is to get an emergency fund. So step two is set up an emergency fund. What's an emergency fund? Emergency fund is money that you need, you can get on the blink of an eye. And anything, life is very unpredictable. Anything can happen. So if something happens, this is the money you can get in an instant. So like basically this is hard cash to bail you out of any situation. And we think that we live comfortable lives, nothing can happen. Oh, why is this money here? Let me invest it somewhere. This is money you never touch. This is the money, like for example with COVID situation, right? Within days, the situation in COVID, especially in Delhi, became so bad that you had to buy oxygen cylinders in black. Let's say if something happens in your family and you need to buy that oxygen cylinder, the guy is quoting you say 50,000 for a cylinder, and he needs it in half an hour. This is money that you need to be able to get in half an hour. So this is that emergency fund. This is not an investment. So this money, don't think to make money of it. This is not like, where do I invest this money, etc. This is a safe money that you keep on the side for emergencies and not to be touched in absolutely any scenario. Say if a family member is in an accident, you need 2 lakhs on the table right now within 2 hours. So yeah, this is that money. So my recommendation is to keep about 6 to 8 lakhs as emergency fund. This will buy you enough time for like for example, even if you have it in FD, it will take 2 days for you to break that FD, the money to come into your account. You going to an ATM, taking that cash out. So this keep 6 to 8 lakhs very easily accessible. One very good way to do it is buying credit cards. So I have 2 credit cards which I never use, but they each have a limit of say 2 lakhs. So now I have 4 lakhs of cash if I need to use, if I need. So even if I don't use those credit cards, this is 4 lakh rupees of money that I can get in an instant. I can go swipe it at any hospital if I have to. Where can you invest your emergency fund? So basically, I think this is where I would recommend it. Keep it as cash, keep it in a savings bank account with a debit card, so that if you need to use it, you can use it immediately. If you are someone who still wants to invest it, I think this is the order in which you should keep it. You can keep it in liquid funds, which gives you, it's very easy to withdraw from liquid funds. You can invest in FDs. Again, not recommended, but you can, or if you are even more, adventurous, you can go with money market funds. These are 2 money market funds that I typically use and like. ICICI Prudential Money Market Fund and ABSL savings scheme. Up to you guys, if you want to, if you think this is something you want to do. But yeah, so again, going back, step one, mitigate risk, get all the insurances that you need. Now, step two, you have set up an emergency fund. So if shit goes down, you are okay. So yeah, so I think this is the first 2 things. Next thing is get rid of loans. So if you are someone who has student loans, especially I guess with this group there might be people who have student education loan or house loan or car loan, this kind of stuff. Get rid of those, because typically in India, most people, like, the interest that you get is generally very high. So if possible, it's typically yeah, something that typically interest rate is very high, so get rid of it, because it's hard to beat that with investments. Okay, so now we have done insurance, we have done emergency funds. So now let's move to basically the next step, which is the actual investments. So the step 3 is goals. So what are goals? Goals is basically the money that you need for in the next few years. So goals can be very simple. Let's say if you want to go to your MBA, you need say 20-30 lakhs for that. That can be goal. You need to buy a car. It's been a dream of yours to buy a car, so that can be a goal. You need, let's say your parents are retiring in 10 years, and you want to gift them a car, or you want to help them set up their retirement home. that can be a goal. So goals are things that will require money, and so you plan for that. Okay, this in 5 years I'm going to need X amount of money, so you start investing for that based on that. So why is it important to set up goals? It's important to set up goals because it helps you understand how much risk you can take. So let's say if it's for buying a Mercedes, that's a luxury item, so you can go risky. You can invest in risky assets, because even if, let's say, it goes down, it's okay. The worst thing that can happen is you don't get your car. But let's say if it's about your own wedding, or it's for your MBA, it's something that you have to do, like after, say, 4 years, 5 years, then that's when you dial it down, and you don't take as much risk. So yeah, so this is, I think, the what I would really like everyone to understand: the mentality of risk and reward. So you need to understand how much money you need. You need to understand how much risk you can take, because let's say if that money, you need that money, irrespective, then you lower your risk. But if it's not important, going for a vacation in Europe, it's not that important. You can take more risk and then play that chance that market will go up, and you can get that return. So yeah, again, just reiterating here, why goals? So don't make money to make money. Like, you need to know what you will do with this money, because if you keep chasing money, then there's no happiness in life. Uh, Everyone has goals. You can, at our age, you might think that, hey, okay, what goal do I have? I have my life, I have no expenses, but everyone has goals. Think harder. Uh, Another thing to do is, this way with goals, you can separate out money you need from the money you can invest for long term. So let's say, if you're investing for your, like, if all your goals are covered, let's say you need 30 lakhs for your MBA, you have kept that aside, it's in some same safe asset. So even if your, say, share market goes down, you will not be worried, because you're like, oh, okay, but I don't care, I have money for my MBA, so I will just sit and let this yeah, market go up. So let's take an example of, let's say there are two examples of goals. Okay, one is, let's say, you want to buy a car, and second is you want to do, like, your retirement home for your parents. So let's say you need 20 lakhs to buy a car. It's risky, so I think you can go, let's say, 80% of your investment can be in equity, 20% can be in a safe asset of fixed income. Whereas similarly, for your parents' retirement home, let's say you need to give them 40 lakhs for to buy their dream house. Like, the day your parent dad will retire, your mom will retire, is fixed. It's not like you can move that date if things go bad. So I would then say, play it a little safe, invest 50% in equity and 50% in fixed income. So yeah, this is something we will cover in a lot more detail when we look at that Excel sheet. But yeah, it gives you a brief understanding. Okay, so so basically, now what you have done, you have ensured that you will not go on the footpath. You will have ensured that if some shit happens, some emergency happens, you take care of that. Now the third thing is, you have ensured that you have money saved up for things you need in the future, in the near future: MBA, college, wedding, etc., etc. So now basically, everything that's left for you is now to be invested for your future. So that is when basically your long-term investments come in. This is so structure it like this. Step one, get rid of risk. Step two, reduce your like, get money for your emergency. Step three, okay, I'm going to need money in 2 years for this, 3 years for this. Get rid of that. And then the next bit is go into, okay, now long-term investment for your own retirement, for big expenses, or just overall savings. So this is, I think, how I would structure it. This is how you can think about your long-term investments. This is very personal. This is somewhat of a good approximation of what I do, but it's very personal, something that you need to come up with for yourself. But I keep, let's say, 30% of my portfolio in fixed income, which is like FDs, RDs, very safe stuff. Second is reliable. So it's risky, but I have good confidence that it will work out eventually. So maybe 2 years down it will go down, it will go up, but let's say in 10 years, 15 years, I know that it will go up. 20% is aggressive. This is where you make money. So let's say you're 70% of your portfolio, you are safe, and everything's going okay. The remaining 20% is, that's where you make money. You based on who you are, what you know well, you make those investments, and then you push the market. And then 10% is fuck around money, YOLO, like basically Bitcoin, crypto, NFTs, random shit that if it works, it goes 10x. But yeah. So yeah, now let's go deeper into each of these. How do you think about fixed income? So for me, fixed income, which is your FDs and debt funds, etc., is if all of this 70% goes to shit. If something like everything is gone, zoop, this is the amount of money I need to get my life back on track. So let's say if something happens in the market, or some fraud happens, somebody takes my money, some legal fraud, commercial fraud. Like Yes Bank went down, right? So this kind of shit happens. This is the amount of money that I have the confidence that if I have this much money, I can get my life back on track. Just knowing who I am, and this can be, it depends on what kind of a person you are. So this basically helps me sleep at night. So irrespective of what happens in the market, like that COVID crash happened, 40% down in 1 week. I know that okay, I have this much amount of money, zero bhi ho gaya. I will take this money, I will start my company, I will start consulting, I will get a job, and based on this 40%, 30% money, my life will be okay. So that's how I think you should think about fixed income. Money that helps you sleep at night, irrespective of what happens in the market. Where can you invest in fixed income? So these are some examples, so that people, uh, to help you out, take it with a pinch of salt. So I think the easiest ones are FD and PF. If you're someone who is keeping money in cash, put it in FD, put it in PF. Uh, some other examples are money market funds. Money market funds are a lot more liquid. It is very easy to buy and sell. So you don't have to go to a bank, etc. You can buy it in Zerodha. So these are some examples of money market funds I invest in, and I personally and like in my opinion, they're not that risky. Like if you look at this ICICI money market fund, this basically last 5 years, it's a straight line. It is very predictable. Like except for this part during the COVID crisis where there was some volatility, uh, it's a straight line. So it's very, you can expect what to get. Think and you can also invest in gilt funds, which is government bonds basically. In simple words, these are again two recommendations that I have. I invest in these two. Up to you as to if you want to invest in these two. But yeah, again, you can set it up across these. FDs have the lowest returns. PF has slightly higher. Money market funds is higher than FD. Gilt funds is higher than money market, and bonds is higher than gilt in terms of return. But again, the risk goes up. So up to you. If you're absolute beginner, I would say invest, start with FD and then slowly move some money to all these. Okay, so I think FD is clear. I think then moving on, reliable bets. So this is money you don't need immediately. So it will grow eventually, but like you're not banking on it for anything. That's not money you need, because if you invest in it, let's say in the market, it goes down and you need to withdraw it, then you will make a loss. So this is money that you are ready to hold for 5 years, 10 years, and it's something that, like, even if it goes up and down, you will be okay. Where can you invest? Index funds. I think that would be my recommendation. So if you're an absolute beginner, just close your eyes, invest in these two index funds. Fairly good track, very low expense ratio. HDFC index on Nifty 50, next 50. So you can put half your SIP in this, half your SIP in this, and I think you will be okay if you do this. So do these two things. So first, put 30% of your investments in fixed income. Remaining 40% put it in index funds. Now, so you have done all of this. So basically, it's a good guarantee that 70% of your portfolio will turn out fine. Now, with the remaining 30%, 20%, you can do, basically, if you're an absolute beginner, I would recommend not to do this. Make this 60% instead of this 20%. It's only for people, who are aggressive and, they want to actually beat the market, make some money, try it. This is risky. This can go to shit if you're not careful. But it's, I think, also okay if you keep some amount of money. Like I keep 20% of my portfolio in aggressive assets. where can you invest? It can do, you can do trustworthy individual stocks. You can do Reliance, ITC, Google, Amazon. These are companies that have done well over the past years. If you, as a person, believe that these are good investments, you can go with these. You can do individual targeted mutual funds, growth opportunities. These are some funds that I have invested in, which are more aggressive and riskier. You can also use a small case, eToro, these kind of investments are like they all fall in this bucket. So you have to make sure that that exposure doesn't become more than 20%, because let's say you invest a lot of money in small case, it's doing well, and it's now becomes 40% of your entire portfolio. One day your market can crash, and suddenly it will go down. So so basically, like, your job as a portfolio, like, your manager, you have to ensure that these percentage ballpark remain the same, and the exposure to risky assets does not increase beyond a certain point. So yeah, so this is the third bit, and I think this is the last one, which is fuck around money. I would very highly recommend not to do this if you are a beginner. But it's basically, this is something you can go to zero tomorrow. It's something to just play around with for learning, and if it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, you need to be okay with it. Uh, yeah, basically, where can you invest? Whatever gives you FOMO, Bitcoins, NFTs, individual penny stocks, buying very small stocks of very small companies, etc. Things that you think can become very big in the future, but are very volatile and very risky. Ensure that that exposure doesn't go beyond 10%. So yeah, I think that's kind of it. So I think if you so my I feel that if you follow these 4 steps and you follow these portfolio allocation, it will manage your risk in a way that irrespective of what happens in the market, you will be okay. Your life will not be very drastically affected, and will also set you up for growth in the future. And then start doing this, you will see month on month how your investments are doing. You will read news, you will read articles, you will get into your own personal finance journey, and then based on that, then you can slowly figure out what works for you. So I think that's kind of it from the first part. Yeah, any questions so far?
Yeah, I think there are some questions.
Hmm.
But before that, like, I just wanted to understand one thing,
Hmm.
which is, have you ever thought about, hiring somebody to manage your finances? Because the reason I'm asking this
Hmm.
is, like, all of these formulas that you're mentioning, that okay, 30% should be
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
fixed income,
Yep.
40% should be in reliable bets. So as somebody who has been investing in has been investing for some kind of time, I feel emotionally I'm not at all wired to follow formulas.
Hmm.
So what are your thoughts on that? Like
So I think I have reached out to few guys. I also work with some financial advisors, and
Mhm.
basically in the end, I think, at least personally for me, it all boils down to trust, right? Like, you need to be able to trust that person to accept his advice. It is your hard-earned money. It is your hard-earned cash. So you need like, of course, so there are two parts of trust, right? One, you trust the person's intent, and B is if that guy is actually giving you the right advice. So I do work with a advisor, for financial advisor, but for me it was very important that I understand how it's going at least at a top level. So I wanted to ensure that
definitely.
the risk at the top level, and my personal goals, ambitions, what I want to achieve in life, how I'm thinking about how long do I want to work for, how when do I want to do my own startup, these kind of things. uh, I don't think I wanted to take the call myself. So even though I take the advice of someone who I trust, but then I want to take the call myself, and that's why for me it was very important to understand this as to how market moves, how I
Mhm.
emotionally react to different investments, and which is why then I came up with this framework, and then I do keep checking this with my advisor, people I trust in my circle, to keep correcting this. So, which is so again, if you can go to an advisor and get it done to get started, I think that's awesome. But if you're someone who's not doing that, I feel that you at least get started. Do something, start a small SIP, and then learn from there.
Yeah. definitely. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's better than what our parents have been like. I remember my parents used to, blindly believe whatever the agent would
Mm.
sell,
Yep.
like in terms of investing in the market. And then, when the market crashes, suddenly they realize that, oh man, like we have been screwed
Mm.
royally here.
Yep. Yep. So I think with this, my intention is also that, that things where you can make mistakes, like where you can get royally screwed, is only limited to say 30%.
Hmm.
While at the same time you have, already taken care of stuff you need money for in the next few years and have money for your emergencies. So even if, let's say, you work with the wrong guy, or you get wrong advice, you make the wrong investment, it's still 30% of your money, which I think is, something, especially most of these people in this group are young, so it's something that you can weather. So my intention is, just to get people started, so that when they see the movements ups and downs by themselves, they will realize. Because I think most people I speak to are, right out of college or very young. There's always this sentiment that, I'm young, I can invest for 20 years, I don't need money, I have no expenses, I'm going to go all in, and then I will see, and eventually it will work out, which is not true. And it's very important to manage your risk.
We should be good to go to the next part of the session. I think that's the attraction of today's event.
Okay.
Basically.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me share my screen again. Yep. Okay, so this is the financial planning dashboard, and again, this is for people who like playing with Excel sheets. So I don't know if you're someone who is who likes, okay, just do it for me, I don't care. So yeah, maybe then this is not for you. But I am personally someone who who loves data. So I keep logging everything, I keep tracking everything, I run analysis on my own, to see how things are going, how much, like, just I love playing with numbers. So if you are someone who always, like, in your job, in your daily life, if you like Excel, then I think then this would be great for you. Again, something, if you are that kind of a person. So yeah, this is basically, and again, my dashboard is very complex. I have some 10 million analysis going on at all times. So again, I have cut it down so that because I've been building this for 2 years, so, I kept adding complexities on top of each other. But yeah, this is a very simple way, and then you can do it based on what you like. So I think step one is I will tell you how you can, get uh, the NAV of a mutual fund. So let's say, if I take the example of, say, mm, let's take this one, Access Liquid Fund Growth. So if you take this, you go on Google and you search for it, you will get this ID. See MUTF.in Access Liquid Fund Growth. So you just copy this ID and you paste it here. So I've already done it. And then it's a very simple formula, right? Google Finance B2, it will tell you what the NAV is of that particular mutual fund on, like, real time. So then basically for every mutual fund that I invest in, I have added it here. So it also just not gives you mutual funds in India, it also gives you international. So for example, this is a world index fund by iShares on the Amsterdam exchange that I invest in. And again, I got the price for that. Like, what is the price for this mutual fund right at this moment? So it's very simple. Google Finance B12, like Google Finance, this code, you'll get this thing. If you look into the formula, there's a lot you can do with the formula. So this is the most basic thing you can do. Now, apart from mutual funds, you can also get prices of shares. So let's say if I want to know what the price of Facebook is today. So if I search for Facebook share price, I will get this, and you just get this code Nasdaq/FB, and you just copy that here. See, this is the thing, and then basically this is the price today, 359, and if you see, this is 359. So it's giving me the exact price of Facebook, And so basically now what you can do, so now you get the price, it's up to you what you do with it. So let's say, for example, I had bought Facebook on 27th January. The price that I bought it at, I entered it manually. Now I know the present price, how much I bought, what is my investment, present value, how much return I got, how much, what is the percentage, and then, again, I've simplified it, but it's up to you as to what analysis you want to run on it. This is a very interesting thing that maybe it's a bit complex. So it's basically just tells me what is the high of Facebook since I bought. So it's basically from this date, it downloads the entire array of every price of every day and then puts a max filter on top of it. And then it tells you, okay, the price of this FP since the day you bought is 378. And then right now it's so like 378 minus 359 is only 5% off. So for me, it tells me that it's almost at an all-time high. Since I bought Facebook stock, maybe it's a good time to sell. Similarly, if you look at, say, this Intel, so when I bought Intel, it's 31% down from its peak. So then, I can get a sense of, okay, maybe I can hold it for longer, it can still go up. So think at the crux of it, this is how you get the price, and then what you do with the price is up to you, as to how you can do it. So okay, so this is the step one. Now you know how to get the price. Now the second part is how you run analysis on top of it. So this is the dashboard. Again, very simple dashboard because I simplified it. But so what I do is I have basically 4 sheets in my dashboard. The first one is how much money do I have? Top level view. At the very top level, how much money do I have today? Second is detailed view. So basically, every mutual fund that I have, how much did I invest, how much that, what is the rate, current value, returns, yada yada yada. Third is the symbols, which is basically my core sheet where I get all the NAVs which I pull into the other sheet. And the fourth is logging. Yeah, it's empty right now, but in my own dashboard, I basically log my investments for every month. And then I can basically do charting on top of that. I can see, how it's growing, how it's coming down, how are my, what my investment was 6 months from before and how has it changed. So if I have to do any back analysis of, okay, if I did X, I decided to do this X thing in my investment strategy, how has it impacted my portfolio, yada, yada, yada. So by logging, I can do all of that. Okay, so how do you go about it? So I think, so the first thing is you need to have an emergency fund. So the first thing is, this is the goal section and you put everything that we discussed, right? So write down your goals, write down your emergency fund, write down that, you need to buy a house, you need to buy a Mercedes. The emergency fund is, let's say, 6 lakhs, safe. Buy a house is, let's say, 30 lakhs, medium risk. And buying a Mercedes is, again, say 30 lakhs, super high risk. So now you know that you need to invest 6 lakhs in emergency, 30 in this, yada, yada, yada. This is, so I will come to this a little later as to how you come to this. The next one is your long-term retirement, fixed income. International. I think I would urge everyone to, also have some exposure to investments outside of India. Don't be or do only India. Equity reliable, equity aggressive, and very aggressive. I think that's something we have discussed. Then comes your cash, which is basically, how much cash do you have? And this is your mess around money, that 10% that we discussed, fuck around, Bitcoin, crypto, something that you're willing to lose. So this gives you a very top level view of how, like, for every goal, how much have you invested? So for every goal, how much have you invested? What is the current value? What is the return so far? And what is the portfolio split? So like, for example, if you remember, we had said that, we will keep our aggressive to 20% and it has gone up to 25. Then basically it's time to balance and, you need to sell. So if this one has actually performed well and instead of 20, it has gone up to 25, sell that 5% and put it into either FD or this reliable thing. So basically what this does is if you stick to this portfolio split, let's say, for example, this one we had said that we'll keep it at 40%, 20%. So if it has gone up, you sell, so you book profit. If let's say it goes down, market goes down, it goes down to 15%, then you take money from somewhere else and invest. So basically, when the market is down, you're investing money. When the market is up, you're taking money. So it's very important to stick to your portfolio split. And this is something you need to do once a year, so not very often. So let's say every January, just open up this dashboard, see, oh, this number is up. I'm gonna remove, sell this, and invest it into the other asset. And again, this is you can have your target portfolio, etc. Uh, I think another thing I do is basically I set it. I do logging. So basically, every first of month, I just copy paste this current value field into here, and then I track. So if you I've cropped my numbers, but you can see how my investments are doing, how my net worth is doing. So I think because everything is real time, every second I know exactly how much money I have, and so this tells me the total net worth I have, total investments I have. Similarly, this is like the red line is how much did my net worth move. So the total amount of money I have, how much did it go up and down by, and this is returns this month. So how much money did I make from my investments, and because I also get a salary, right? So like in my head, a pseudo goal I have is the return from investment should be higher than my salary. So, the day that happens, that means that, I don't need to work. And so this is something I track, okay, like, so you will see that, my net worth always moves by more than my returns because my corpus is not that big enough. But yeah, so again, it's up to you as to how you want to do this analysis. I have bunch of trends and analysis and alerting. So in Google Finance, you can also import APIs. So if you're someone who's that technically inclined, you can also use Zapier and all of these things to integrate these APIs into your dashboard to send you, let's say, a message on Telegram that, hey, this fund, your 40% allocation has gone up. So you can do all of that stuff. Kept it a little simple for now. Possible to do all of that. So yeah, so this is basically the screen that I look at the most. So for each of my fund, how am I doing? And have I hit this number? Like this is a 30 lakh number. I need to buy a house. I am at 20. Okay, again, dummy numbers. This is not my investments. Just put some random shit here. So let's say I'm at 21 lakhs. So I need to go for 9 lakhs further. Buying a Mercedes S23. So I can think about should I increase my SIP? Should I invest more? If I get a bonus, where do I need to pump it in? I think all of these things you can visualize from here. Now, anyway, again, any questions till here?
No, I think we are good. Keep going, man. The stuff is really good.
Okay. So this is the core big dashboard. Now, basically, how do you populate these numbers? Then basically you go to detailed view, and let's say, if you have your emergency fund, so then this is where you split it up as to where have you invested your emergency fund in. So let's say you have an FD in HDFC Bank, 1 lakh rupees FD, 6.25% rate of investment. So then, so you can use some formulas here, like for example, I've used a compound interest formula to tell, okay, how much money I have made from this FD. Similarly, cash, I keep something as cash, so then that is equal. HDFC liquid fund. So this is because of mutual fund, I get the NAV from the symbol, like this sheet, which I had showed in the start. So, I have this date of investments. I know how much units I have. This is something I fill in manually as of today. Then basically do a VLOOKUP to figure out for this liquid fund, what is the NAV today, and multiply that with number of units to get the total value today. And then I can get basically how much returns I have. I can also use some formula to get annualized returns here, per year, what's the, let's see, CAGR I am doing, etc. And then I sum it up and I add it here. Similarly, buy a house, right? Like for example, if I have invested 7.5 lakhs, this is the amount of units. Date I invested, it's say worth 13 lakhs. Again, same thing. Based on this number, I get the NAV from the symbols sheet, multiply it with the units, and then I get this amount. And you can get your percentage. So yes, I think that's kind of it. So I sum it up so I break it at a goal level here, and then individuals also you can look. I also do log it here for basically every mutual fund, every fund, how are my, every month I take a snapshot to know, okay, how it is tracking, and then I do some analysis on top of that to alert me as to, when things go up and down. And you can track everything. Like, for example, you can also do the price of Bitcoin. So let me show you. See, so like, for example, I tried to be too smart, but mm, okay, yeah, I think I can't remember how to do this, but I can get back to you on this. But like, for example, if you want USD INR, like how much is $1? See, so like $1 is 74 rupees. So you can also get all of this information. So basically, when you search on Google and this box that you get, all of this is available via the Google Finance function, and you can get all of it. And so yeah, so this is how you keep track of it. And then yeah, if you're someone who loves Excel, I think once you have this base set up, then you can keep running your own analysis and your own VLOOKUPs, tables, graphs, charts, etc., based on what you like. So yeah, I think that's about it. This is the MVP of my dashboard. And then if someone has questions, I can help them how to add more features to it.
And this is really great. I think we'll have time for maybe a couple of questions. Yeah, I think we can do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we do that, I just want to mention a couple of things. One is thank you for normalizing the idea of investing in fixed deposits. It's almost as like eating your greens like in your daily diet of sorts. Like as a person who is a little bit blessed with the opportunities that we have, I think investing in a fixed deposit or an FD seems like a very like a low kind of a thing, but I feel it was good to hear that hey, it's cool, it's not something to look at from a negative perspective.
And again, it's I think, as I shared in the start of the chat, it's basically for someone who gets stuck with analysis paralysis. Don't do anything. So like, investing in FD is better than not investing in anything. And of course, FD gives very low returns, and something that's not recommended for the large chunk of your money. But again, it's personal. So if you're someone who's very risk averse, start with FD. Do FD. Once you are comfortable with FD, take some money, put it in arbitrage fund, take some money, put it in index fund, take some money, put it. So you have to work your way up. And I think what happens is a lot of people they just get FOMO'd, and they don't do anything, and then one day invest 2 lakhs in Bitcoin, and then it crashes, and then they get scared. So my advice is, like, do one by one. It's okay to do FD. It's not, you're not gonna die if you do FD.
Cool, man. And the other thing which I had in mind was, can you share this Google Sheet with us, and can we build on top of this? Because I feel this has a lot of elements which are important, very important, I would say, like in terms of portfolio rebalancing, and then making sure that we have some idea of what our net worth is. So maybe you can clean this sheet up and then share it with us.
Yeah, I think I can do that.
Cool. So I noted down just one question. I think people were just amazed with the numbers that they were seeing on the screen. So Nimish had a question, which was, do you copy paste your investments here for logging, or does it automatically get imported from apps like Kuvera? Or
It's possible to do it automatically using Google APIs. It's just that I've been a little lazy to do it. So some of it I have automated in the way that I know when my SIPs get deducted. So I have written some formulas to take a snapshot on that day and then just multiply it with things. Some of the things I update manually, and yeah, I look at this sheet uh, like more than I should. It's a little unhealthy to track your investments too much, which I do. So for me, I've been doing a lot of it manually, but yeah, definitely possible to import it.
cool, man.
Yep.
Any other questions, guys, before we end this session? I think what we can definitely do is like have some sort of a community edition for this Google Sheet. Like the things maybe with APIs and all of those things. So some of us can try it out and then see
Yep.
if it is working, and then we can version it out and then things like that.
Yep. So I think if someone can help me out, especially at automating that with APIs, the Kuvera stuff, etc. I think that's the addition that's missing, which is some work which I have been also lazy in putting it off. So yeah, if there's someone who wants to volunteer for that, I would love to collaborate.
Cool. Then I think this has been a great